Hey everyone, it's Ashley. I'm just doing the video that I was telling you about. I had a video that went out earlier. I don't know if everybody saw it, but it was basically talking about how I was going to do another video about scheduling. So this is my big whiteboard. I've got it all set out. It's broken down into little categories, obviously, Monday to Sunday. This one is 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, blah, 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 all the way down to midnight. Okay, so everyone's schedule is going to look a little bit different. And of course, it's not going to be on a whiteboard. It's probably going to be on a paper like that. That's what mine looks like. If anybody wants me to send them a copy of this, I already have the spreadsheet done. So if anybody's interested in trying to see, like put into play what I'm explaining here, just email me or message me and I will give you a copy of this. Okay? Make it easier for you. Work smart, not hard. Okay, so basically what I wanted to, I'm going to try and go fast because I tend to talk a lot. So I'm going to try and not make this video super long. But the gist of it is I'm going to use red for any time that I'm like working a job or a career or whatever. Because this is time that you really can't get out of. So we're going to mark that down in red. We're going to go ahead and we're going to plan our week. We're going to put down the things that we can't get out of, the things that are important to us. Maybe we have a yoga class or kickboxing or whatever it is. And then it just like, it shows you where the time is that you have left and maybe where the time is that you wouldn't mind sacrificing, when you really start to look at it. So the average person is probably going to fall into like the 9 to 5 into this gap here. I don't know about average, but there's going to be a lot of people, or like an 8 to 4 or 6 or whatever. So this whole block here, all the way across Monday to Friday, is going to be a huge red zone. So you're going to color all of this in red all the way through here. My schedule doesn't look like that, so I'm not personally going to do it. I'm going to show you what my schedule looks like, okay? So Monday, for instance, I start work at 9. Okay, this might take me a little bit longer than I thought. Apparently I did not think this all the way through. Maybe I could have had this done ahead of time. That's probably something to keep in mind. And I usually don't get home until around 7. So that's blocked off. And then Tuesday, I leave for work around 3:30, but just for this sake, I'm going to say 4. I hope everybody can see that okay. Hopefully the color is, I'm not doing a fantastic job on coloring by any means. It is not art day, it is schedule day. So I usually end up working when I go in for the 4 o'clock shift. I don't actually get home until around 1:30, 2 sometimes. That is lounge, bar, serving nightlife. So I'm going to color that one in too because basically that's going to take the rest of my night. There's going to be no time left. Thursdays, I do the same shift. Gotta love shift work. Kind of puts you all over the place, right? And everybody who knows my story, those of you who don't, I have twin boys. They are 2 years old. And up until the last week, they have not been in daycare. So I have been watching them during the days for the last 2 years and then working on top of that. And that's where this came into play to really make my business work, is because I was trying to watch the kids all day and go to work all night. And I was like, I basically was telling myself that I don't have any time. But when I really sat down and went back to what a mentor had told me from a previous business, I was like, hey, Ashley, you clearly have time, like I was able to watch a show or a movie. I was able to go out with friends. And then that's where I realized that I actually did have time. And then a lot of the times I end up working on the Friday night as well too. I work a lot of night shifts because my husband is out working during the day. And so that moves me into the night. Generally, I have Saturday, Sunday off. A lot of the times I pick up a shift here on the Wednesday, but I'm not going to put it in there because these are my core hours. They don't change. As you can see, I only work 4 days a week. To me, that's considered part-time. That is because I'm with the kids the rest of the time. So those are my red spaces, okay? So I know that my kids get up around 8, and so before, because I was working late nights, I wouldn't get home until 1:30 or 2, I would end up sleeping in. A lot of you doing shift work are going to relate to this, but I was willing to sacrifice a little bit of sleep so that in the long run, I could build my business. And so, what color do I want to use to make it easier for everybody to see? I thought I had a yellow here. What the F? Clearly I'm not prepared. I'm sorry. So I was like, okay, you know, this is where we start to like really look at what we're willing to change, right? What we're willing to sacrifice. It's like, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to get up a little bit earlier. I'm going to get up an hour before everybody. That still gives me at least, you know, 4, sometimes 5 hours of sleep. If I'm lucky, on other days I can catch up on sleep in here and not have to go to bed so super late. But I'm willing to sacrifice time in the morning because I want to get up, I want to read, I want to do my magical practice, I want to have a little bit of meditation or yoga, whatever I like to do in the morning. Basically, quiet time before anybody else in my household gets up. It is my favorite time of the day. So this whole hour right here is for me to read, learn, give back to myself. And I do that every single day. Sometimes I get up a little bit a little bit earlier. And sometimes I even can stretch that if my kids don't wake up until 9. If I'm really lucky, it does happen sometimes. Yes, I know all parents are like, yeah, right, 9 o'clock. So sometimes I even get this in here. I'm not going to fill it in yet just because I don't always get that, but sometimes I can fill it in there. So the other thing that you want to do is I'm gonna think the red is something you can't change. It's a big stop sign that's stopping you from being able to work. The blue, I'm going to use this blue color. It helps to be color coordinated. Trust me, it does. There's a reason. And the blue I'm going to use as like kind of like an education color, somewhere where you're learning, somewhere where you're reading, somewhere where you're basically growing and developing yourself. So the other thing you want to do is, like, for instance, our Sunday trainings, right? You want to block stuff like that out, right? So Sundays work for me, and so our training starts at 7. And so in here, I'm going to block that out. Nobody can take that away from me. Nobody can change it. I've set it in my schedule. It's staying like that. That is education time. You also want to find other periods throughout the day. You know, you can see on Monday, like I'm going to get home and I've got to do dinner with the kids and stuff like that here and get the kids down to bed. The webinar is already over by this point, so I can't make the Monday webinars. What was I going to say? Okay, so this is for kids and I'm not going to be able to do that. But look at this beautiful chunk of space I have right here, right? But see, what happens is when we're so freaking busy from the rest of our lives, we get home at this time, and by the time we are done dinner and we're done with the kids and all of that other shit, we're so exhausted that we feel like we deserve the break, right? We deserve to sit down and relax. We deserve to watch an hour or 2 of TV. And it's not that you don't deserve it, but you also deserve a better life. And you also deserve to invest the time in yourself to put into your business. So this is a chunk before when I would say, oh, I don't have any time. And it's not that I didn't have time, it's how I was using my time. I would be so exhausted that I would flop down on the couch, I would space out for an hour or 2, watch a movie or watch a TV show or something, you know, and then I would end up falling asleep on the couch, and then I would, fall asleep on the couch. I'm not awake for any of this period, right? And I'm not saying you have to work up to midnight every night, and everybody's schedule and time is going to be so different. You know what? I'm going to use green as for business because you're making money. Everything you're doing, all of those actions is going to create money. Green. Okay? So this, now, I use for business. Always. Always, always, always. As soon as I'm done dinner, as soon as the kids are in bed, I am downstairs in the den working. Always, without exception. Because I see it on the schedule, I see the big picture, and I know that that's what I have to do to get me to where I want to go, right? So my Wednesday night is very similar as well too. As soon as the kids go down and they're in bed, I have got this time here to work on business. Now, a lot of you are going to have, like a kickboxing class or a yoga class or something. Just mark that down. Color it out. If that's something that's important to you and it's a way that you give back to yourself, that is just as important as well too. So for you, when you're going through and doing your schedules, Mark down any of these areas where you have something that you're just not willing to. My screen is going off. I don't want the video to stop. There we go. Something that you're just not willing to sacrifice yet. Or maybe you'll never be willing to sacrifice it. It's fine. Just mark it down so that you can see your week ahead, right? My Saturday night is also very similar. I have my Saturday night open. Okay, so I'm going to mark in my Saturday. My green is running out. Can you even see that on the camera? I hope you guys can see the colors. From where I'm looking on the camera, you can't see shit. So hopefully you get the gist. Maybe you can see light colors. Maybe when I watch the replay or something, it'll magically be there. Okay, so the other thing is I'm going to use red for when I watch the kids as well too, because it is very challenging. I know with kids in general, especially if you have more than one and they don't nap as much anymore, it is very difficult to get any type of work done. It really is. And so these are all going to be red areas for me because I am watching the kids, except for that. That is, they are in a play group from 9 to 11 on Tuesdays. Okay? So these ones are all going to be red. I am so sorry, guys. I should have actually just had this done ahead of time. I thought it was going to be a lot more effective to do it as I go. Clearly, I am just wasting valuable time. Bear with me, stay with me. I have a good point at the end of this. Okay, so all of this time is red, 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 because I watch my kids on Saturday too. But you're going to notice something interesting happens. You feel very entitled to your time at first. You feel like it's yours and you want to safeguard it. Nobody's going to take it away because you work hard and you should be able to. You deserve that break, okay? So that's going to be the first stage. You're going to be safeguarding your time and not letting anybody dictate it. And you're going to be the boss of your own life. And that's fine. We are the boss of our own life. But if you want to change, you have to change some things. So the first little while, you're going to safeguard it. But what's going to happen is if you slowly, consciously realize that it's you that's standing in your own way, you're going to start sacrificing some time in here, right? Because this is a lot of red. And Sundays is usually family day. Obviously, there is lots of time in here. The whole nighttime I use for education and business. Always, always, always. Sunday nights are great to get your posts ready for the week because you can do your scheduling ahead of time so that you don't have to post all throughout the week and you just automatically set them up. You take an hour or two on Sunday, you can have your whole week done. So that frees up time. It's just being more efficient, right, guys? Sunday's family day, so I blocked that off because we can have time together. I work in the morning for myself. I work at night for myself. In here, this is family time. Very important. Okay, so what I was going to go back to was in here, even though I'm with my kids, I am going to start finding ways to leverage that time and being able to use it more wisely. So let's say on the Wednesday, I'm going to go, there's a play cafe that's close to my house. I'm going to take them over there. They can play there for an hour and a half. Let's say we do that around 12. All right? I bring my laptop with me. Boom. There's some blue. On Thursday, maybe before I have to go to work, which is at 4, I'm going to go to a friend's place. They've got kids too. We're going to have a coffee. Maybe I'm going to find somewhere in there to make a video, maybe talk to them or try and network with them, see if they know anybody that wants to build an online business. Some way, somehow, incorporate business in there. Talk about business. Do go lives. Do videos. You know, that's the thing is you can do go lives and videos anywhere. You can post content onto your pages from anywhere. You can talk to people, talk to leads in conversation on through Messenger. You can call them. You can bring your like your Bluetooth. You can put it when you're driving, right? If I'm headed to work at 4, well, you know what? I can take, you know, if I leave a couple minutes early, 5-10 minutes early, I can take this whole drive and I can talk to somebody on the phone, talk to a couple of people on the phone. I can listen to audiobooks when I'm on my way to work. That turns this into blue. You know, if I did that over here on Tuesday as well too, well, guess what? That turns that into blue. And what happens if I do it on my way home as well? Okay? Do this down here. Good. I turn this more into blue. Perfect. I've just created more time. What did I say? I was going to go to my friend's place. What day did I say that on? I don't know. Friday. Let's say we're going to take 2 hours here. I'm going to go to my friend's place. I'm going to talk to them about what I'm doing. I'm going to ask them for referrals. Ask them if they know anybody who wants to build an online business. Ask them who the most motivated person that they know is. Ask them. See if they find out who they know, right? And it's all about things like that, guys. Business has always got to be on your mind. Contacting, networking, learning, growing, educating yourself, trainings, all of those things. So there is another training in here. John and Dave, maybe? I think it's John and Dave are doing. Sorry, guys, that I didn't block that out. I actually have not been on that train yet. But as you can see, I'm free. So there you go. There's a perfect example. I'm learning that that's something I need to change. Right in here, I'm going to block that out and do the training in there because that's important too, right? So basically you get the gist, okay? I'm going to stop there because there's no point in going, now I'm just blabbing. I told you I can talk a lot. And I enjoy it too. So I would encourage everybody to, you know, get in contact with me. I'll give you one of those papers that I showed you before. Really write down what your schedule looks like. You know, put those chunks of time where you have to be at work in red. And then put your education in like yellow or another color, whatever. All of your reading, all of that stuff, right? Put that into another color. And then look at the time that you have left. Space, space, space. I made space in my mornings. You know what else I did? Honestly, now I only shower every second day instead of every day. And a lot of the days I don't wear makeup anymore because I take that time and I'm going to put it into something else, right? And then my kids, where they nap. Where do my kids nap? I don't know. Somewhere in here. I don't even remember what days. See, I'm all screwed up. I don't even remember what days I'm home with them these days. Kids nap somewhere in here. Something like this. Right? So I used to take that time to shower, put on makeup, get looking pretty, all of that stuff. Then I turned that time in here. So it's all about finding where you're willing to sacrifice. Some things you cannot change. Work, for example. You need that money to be able to put into your business, put into your ads. Other things you can change. When you're going out on the Friday nights, when you're going out on the Saturday nights, not only are you going out on these nights to party, a lot of the times, a lot of people, you're wasting time, but you're also wasting money, and a lot of money. The bars are not cheap nowadays. So you're going out Fridays, Saturdays, not everybody, sometimes you are. Maybe you could say, hey, you know what? Here's the other thing. This is what I wanted to mention. This is just temporary sacrifice. This is just short term, right? You have to think about, am I willing to give up, you know, if I do yoga 5 days a week or 4 days a week, am I willing to give that up? Or maybe just do half. Maybe I'm not. Am I willing to give up my kickboxing? Am I willing to try and find a way that my son can carpool and go to soccer with somebody else, with another family? And then maybe I can return the favor on another day. Am I able to find creative ways where I can take my kids out somewhere, where there's other kids? Maybe that takes some of the pressure off of me so that I can actually work while I'm with my kids. There's so many different scenarios where we can leverage time. It's all about finding what you can change and what you can't change. And as soon as you see it down on a spreadsheet like this, you'll realize, see, the thing is that people who aren't on shift work, and I'm not saying that you don't have as crazy of a life. That's not at all what I'm saying. It definitely is just as busy. But you have your hours are a little bit more stable. So, you know, if you're in like the 9 to 5 bracket, for instance, you're going to kind of be in this space right here, right? And so I hate to say it, but there's a whole shitload of time here and a whole shitload of time right here. And again, that's going to be filled with kids and all of that. But when you get home and you're 5, kids, dinner, 7, 8, you still have from 8 to 12 this whole chunk all the way across the board, right? And so we have to, the screen keeps going off. That's when you can tell you've been talking for too long, right? So we really have to like look at the whole picture and find out what I can change and what I can't change. What am I willing to change? What am I not willing to change? And then you'll probably start to see yourself open up a little bit and you'll be like, damn, we all have the same amount of hours in 1 week. We all have the same amount of hours in 1 day. Why is it that some people can use theirs so effectively and so efficiently and get so much done in a day versus what other people can when we all have the same time? The only variable is you. That's the only thing that's changing. And it's just the way we use our time. So this forces you to be really honest with yourself. It forces you to see it in black and white where you're like, damn, okay, I've got some areas where I can tighten up on. And that's the whole point of it. It's not to be hard on yourself. It's to learn from this. It's to learn from the schedule. It's to learn from the time that we have and to make sure that we're using it correctly. So I think that's about it for today. I don't even know what time I'm at. Fuck, at this point, probably close to 20 minutes, something like that. So thank you all for sitting so tight with me. And I'm sure that there's going to be something after that I'm like, oh, fuck, I really hope, I really wish that I had touched on that. That was a really good point. It was something that I wanted to say. But this is basically the gist. This is what I wanted to cover. And I really think it would be beneficial. I mean, I used to do this every day, guys. This was a daily thing or like a weekly thing for me, okay? This is what my schedules used to look like. The old mentor that I used to work with for a different business. And it was the best thing he ever did for me. I honestly, at first was like really like resistant. I really didn't want to do it. I was like, that is not my style at all. I'm not a scheduled lifestyle type of person. And I'm still not really, but it helps to recap with yourself, every month, because that's the other thing is your schedule is going to change. It's not always going to look the same, right? So I used to do this on a weekly basis, right? You can see all of my red is things that I couldn't change. All of my yellows was my education. Greens was where I was making money. These were appointments that I was going on. I was still fairly new. I didn't have a whole lot of green, as you can see. I was still learning. But I did this on a weekly basis. And then all of a sudden, things really started to slow in my business. And he only said one thing to me. He said, Ashley, let me see your schedule. So I opened my schedule. He said, oh, there's your problem. Your schedule is white. Right? I stopped. Started a little bit, gave it a half-assed effort. Oh, there I came back on board. Anyways, you get the point, okay? I used to do this weekly. I'm not saying that you have to carry this everywhere with you. I used to fill this out on a daily basis. A couple hours would go by and I would fill in what I was doing in those couple of hours. Was I on the phone? Was I, was I recruiting? Was I in an appointment? Was it something to do with making money? Or was it education? Was it whatever? You get the point. I used to do this weekly. So I don't think it's very difficult for everybody to do it at least once so that you can get real with yourself and say, it's time for me to wake up and make more of an effort. I actually do have a lot more time than I was thinking that I do, and I'm going to give a better effort going forward, right? When you plan your week in advance and you know what it looks like, the other thing is that we can get really easily distracted, right? So if we don't have time blocked off, we're getting off of work here, and then somebody says, oh, let's go out for a drink, right? When you have something blocked down, you know you need to be at a training, or you know you want to get home and work on the business, and you've blocked it off for the week, you're most likely going to say, you know what, sorry, I've got some things that I really need to do, let's catch up another time, right? And I'm not saying that's going to happen every time. Sometimes it is good to go in the flow and to go for a drink with somebody or to go catch up, because you never know where that will lead as well too. But what I'm saying is we get so distracted in life that if we don't plan, if we fail to plan, how does that saying go? He used to always say it. We don't plan to fail, we fail to plan. This is our plan. When we see it out here, we've got a plan, right? So that's the whole idea, is knowing where you're going so that your journey is smoother and you've got more time to get shit done. All right, guys, I think that's about it for today. Anybody reach out to me if you have any questions. Like I said, again, reach out for that paper. I'll give you a copy, no problem. Super easy. I've got it close by, and I think I actually have it stored on my computer, so I can just print it out. Everybody can fill in their own times, their own days, all of that jazz. Thanks very much for joining me, and I'm sorry that it takes so long. I love to talk, and sometimes I ramble because when it's being recorded in like one take, your thoughts aren't always put together. So they kind of come to you as you're going through it. Yeah, anyways, today is Wednesday. I hope everybody has a happy Wednesday, and thanks again for joining. Bye-bye.